Wonder about the future and how you'll be working and learning? Welcome to You in 2042, the future of work, with your host, Danielle Wallace.
Hello, and welcome to another edition of You in 2042, the future of work. Joining me today is Caterina.
Thanks to Danielle for inviting me. Super excited to be here. My name is Caterina Ichkhanian. I'm a learning professional that have worked in private and public sectors over the past 25 years. Very passionate on learning and performance for the workplace and elevating our whole Canadian workforce and bringing everyone to their full potential. So that's me in a nutshell.
And that's such an important mission about bringing everybody to their full potential, because amidst our ever-changing world, there's so much that we as learning and development professionals could do, Caterina. What do you think the role is of the learning and development professional in the future?
So I think that the learning and development professional right now is kind of at a crossroads. And there's two avenues that we could move between. So with the advent of AI and other technologies to enhance the work that it is that we're doing, either we can go to the wayside of becoming obsolete or not seen as valuable, or we can really elevate and be seen as an indispensable to the development of human performance. And so this is the avenue that I'm really interested in pursuing and advocating for. So by really sticking to our grassroots of what is learning, how do we develop people, and understanding all of the nuances that are involved with that, from needs assessment right through to evaluation, and capturing those things that are really not accessible or able for AI technologies to be able to replicate. That's the stuff that we need to harness on so that we can be that indispensable partner and ally in our business, in our Canadian economy, to really drive that change in behaviors, that drives the innovative thinking, that drives the relevance of who we are as companies, who we are as a country, who we are as people. And learning and development plays a significant role in that place. We just have to really stay steadfast and prove our value.
So you mentioned these aspects we should be doing, and the needs assessment through to evaluation and truly driving value, which is interesting because that's a rallying cry we've had for a while. What do you think's different now with this message?
I think what's different is that technology really is a tool to enhance what it is that we do, but it's misunderstood. So learning and development is constantly misunderstood to begin with within organizations. HR, learning and development, funding cuts come in. Where's the first places that companies will go to? They'll say, oh, we can reduce our training side. Let's replace them with some e-learning content, and then that will be sufficient for our staff to be able to maintain the skills. And that's so misunderstood. If we are really to be able to stand at the table and prove our value, we really have to emphasize, why are we here? How do we align to those KPIs, demonstrate that difference? And it's so easy to drop the ball when it comes to evaluation, because organizations are like, okay, training is done. We're finished. Now let's move on to the next thing. But it's like, no, hold on a second. We're not finished. Maybe we delivered the training, and maybe we can even give you a summary of if they liked it, and even potentially if they learned through whatever type of evaluation process that we have. So how do we prove our value in, did that training stick? Are they doing those behaviors that we had intended for them to do? And then how does that drive that bottom line? And so if we stay steadfast and continue to pursue the end of the training to those results, to those evaluations, it's impossible for a company to not see the value of training. What's different now is that it's easy to dismiss learning and development, but it's easier now with all of the technologies that are available. So this is what makes it imperative for us to really stand up, stand tall, and demonstrate our value.
And to your point, it's so easy to replace a function that's already misunderstood. So it's not just creating training, it's actually solving business needs. Training is just one byproduct of that.
Yeah, and I think if we're learning professionals and we're capable of helping our audience to be able to gain the skill and knowledge to be able to do the performance that's expected on the job, we certainly have the skills and capability of influencing the powers within the organization, the executive, the C-suite, the individuals that are making the decisions of where the money goes to prove our value. So it's imperative for us to also share our knowledge of learning. The more we're able to educate our stakeholders on what we do, how we do it, and why we do it, then prove it in the end, that's when we get all of the buy-in. That's when we have our champions that stand behind us. So I think it's important for us to take that time to really share what is a learning strategy and how is this going to drive that result and all of the pieces that need to get there. And that sometimes you can't do the shortcuts to get to that end result, but you need to be able to articulate that. There's almost like a marketing component attached to the role. It's not enough for us to just do it. We have to market ourselves and the capabilities.
Interesting point, because this has been a persistent need to help other functions understand the value of learning and development. And with that in mind, what do you think we could do as learning and development professionals to help drive and ensure that we can chart our own course?
Well, I think communities of practice are a really great avenue for us to band together as a collective, as opposed to the lone person in a company struggling to make themselves relevant to their stakeholders, to really band together collectively to support one another in this journey. And it's bigger than an individual. It's bigger than an organization. It's almost global in nature, right? Where learning is learning. It doesn't matter where you are, but the more that we can band together as a collective, take a look at the research papers that are being done, discuss those research, stay abreast of those learning trends, like any profession. You can't rest on your laurels. In order for you to be relevant, you have to be paying attention to everything that's growing. We're living in an age where technology is changing so rapidly. In order for us to stay abreast of what's available and how we can incorporate all of these tools into our arsenal, which then helps us get better faster, doesn't mean that we're losing that decision making component. That still rests with us. It doesn't mean that we're going to lose those intangibles that can't be reproduced by AI enhancements. It actually emphasizes that we can spend more time on the things that are important, that the thought process of, wait, what is the gap? How do I understand what that gap is? What are the KPIs? What's the creativity that gets us to resolve that? And then use those tools to build it better and faster. But then going back to prove that we were able to do that without our thinking and our knowledge and getting there, then we would have missed it. Like AI can't reproduce those intangibles, that all those years of experience that it is that we have and all of the learning that we put together. But when you put it as a group and as a collective, it's exponential, right? It's powerful. It's big. It's what moves companies. It's what moves countries to maintain our relevance in a global economy and keeping that momentum going. If you really look at what is learning, learning is change, and change is what's required in order to stay relevant.
That's a nice rallying cry. Learning is change. It unfolds both the idea that AI, for example, is good, but we still need learning development professionals to help usher in this as a change to embrace, to figure out how best to harness this opportunity. And then secondly, you mentioned about learning and development needing to be keeping up to speed. It's a nice rallying cry to actually drive the urgency to help stay up to speed. I find that within learning and development, often we're not abreast of new changes that are happening in the world in terms of industry as much as other functions. My background being marketing, that's what I compare to. I like that reframing of learning as a change because that really helps drive us. Like it makes sense suddenly our role as learning and development professionals so pivotal.
Yeah, how can you preach a particular thing to a company if you're not prepared to do that for yourself? And if you're not elevating yourself and your profession. So here we are, we're supposed to be, enhancing the performance of our audiences. Is it not incumbent upon us to do the same for ourselves and for our own industry that we're in?
So well said. And I think there's the gap that we have in ourselves. So that gives us
Right.
some of our own opportunities.
It's risky and it's scary, right? Because if you're doing something for a long time and you've been successful at it, it's scary to change. It's scary to do something different than what you did before. And it's scary to introduce something new. What if it fails? Well, part of the agility and resilient models really come with those fast failures, but then course correcting. But those fast failures are not that you just try something without any thought. Try something given the information that you have, the knowledge that you bring with you, what you expect to have happen. And if by chance something got missed and it fails, and you course correct super quick so that you can then recover and move forward and you learn through that experience, then it's valuable because you're pointing in a particular direction that all your data sources and all of your information takes you to. And if it doesn't lead you to that place, that might become a huge opening or opportunity that you never would have identified. So I think it's important for us to stay agile, understand our role as the department that's willing to take those calculated risks.
Again, going back to what you said, it's already a misunderstood function. We in learning and development don't have that agility as other functions would with IT,
Mhm.
marketing, and such, where they are able to seemingly adapt to change. I think it's as you said though, it's that ability to learn from failures, to accept it's part of the process to take these measured risks.
Well, sure. And I think part of the formula is also those partnerships. We can't work in silos. So you talked about areas that people are pouring money into, companies are really gravitating towards. Those are our allies. Going back to that whole thing of being, your own marketing expert and learning and development, getting on that forefront of marketing who we are and what we do. It's sharing all of that information, looking for those connections with the areas that have the money, that have the resources, that have the ears of the C suites, and saying, hey, IT, this is what it is that you're doing. This is what I want to do. How can we partner together? How can I gather the information that I need or the sources? And how can we work together so that we can be allies with one another and support one another, and get to those end outcomes? So it's not a matter of us working in silos. It's a matter of us really embracing the diversity of information, the diversity of roles that can help support us and make them important stakeholders in what it is that we're doing. They will be the advocates. All you have to do is turn one person, and that person advocates for you. And then you prove another result. And now you've just gained another 5 more people that will advocate for you. It's time consuming. It's outside of your role as a learning and development professional because you're there to do a needs assessment, design the training, deliver the training, evaluate the training, right? But you can't do it if you're not given the freedom to allow your creativity to flow, the freedom to be able to take a little bit of time to think through the processes, to really get to the root cause analysis and really think through and talk to people who know what the KPIs are and what do they mean? Why are they important for a company? And so that comes with developing those partnerships, getting those allies in place, and it's time consuming.
I love that though as some parting tips with that idea of advocacy to
Mm,
generate those stakeholders, partnerships, alignment and such. Are there any other last words you have for our listeners as to other practical things they may consider?
Stay true to yourselves. Stay true to the basics. Why are we here? And really understand it. And then stand tall, stay firm on what it is that you believe the outcomes to be, and then prove it.
I think that says it all. And that does truly help us be elevating our role in the industry. Caterina, thank you so much for your time and this insightful conversation.
Thank you so much, Danielle. It was really a lot of fun being here. Thank you. Important work that you're doing as well.
Thank you for being a part of the future. Subscribe now to stay current.